Perfect. So, hello everyone. We have with us Mike from the BMillions project. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Before we start, let me quickly explain the AMA process.
Sure.
The session consists of two phases. In the first phase, we'll be going through some questions that I have prepared for you. And in the second stage, we'll be selecting questions from the audience. Specifically, we'll select two lucky participants to ask their question and win for $50 each. Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Perfect. Okay. For the first question, can you please introduce yourself and the team behind BMillions?
Absolutely. I'm Mike. I've been in the industry for a number of years, actually. I first started off as a trader and did really bad at it for a number of years. But then I sort of found my hook. And before long, I was probably too much on the degen side, doing 100x leverage. But I was doing pretty good at it. So I made a name for myself at the time. As things went on, being a degen in the space, I eventually met people on Discord and Telegram and found my way into the marketing side of things. And before long, we were finding really niche projects. I was really good at doing, like really deep dives into projects and understanding the team, understanding the tokenomics, understanding the ecosystem, and having a look behind the veil to identify what might be a good play. And so we did really well across the seasons. And as time went on, I shifted away from, the crypto sort of hype and found my footing with the technology side, with blockchain and understanding the conversion between the two worlds of Web 2 and Web 3. And before long, the concept of BMillions was born. Now, it was actually born nearly 2 years ago, but the way that I wanted to build it wasn't possible at the time. We needed to wait for technology to get to where it was today. There was a few components that we wanted to do that we could offer to our participants, to our community, a frictionless environment. So that's what we've been building out today. Behind me as well, we've got a couple of guys who've been serial marketers in the crypto space, working with different types of KOLs, from agency to independent management, working with very large scale projects, as well as the technology side. Our devs have successfully built and launched projects that have turned over more than $20-30 million in revenue after they've been built. So very successful team behind us.
Sounds amazing. And from the looks of it, it looks like you have a lot of experience yourself as well in the space. So that being said, sorry, please go on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, a lot of experience in a lot of different fields. But this project was something that I really wanted to put together in the right way. So it meant making the right connections through time. We've done a lot of travel for a number of years, from different conventions to different environments to different gatherings, meeting with the right people, understanding the technology that they can provide and how it's going to interact with the ecosystem that we're building. And before long, we found all the right pieces and we started to put it together. So we've actually been developing the infrastructure side of this project for many months now. So there's already a working product. So the product's already built. It's just some phases. So we've called, phase 1, A, B, and C, and then there's phase 2, which is a much, much grander scale. I don't want to give too much away about that, but that's a very big project in the making. But yeah, so we've been building out phase 1, A and B, and when we go to market, we'll be hitting the ground running as we prepare to launch phase 1C. So it sounds all cryptic, but it's all pretty straightforward.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit more about BMillions? I mean, what is BMillions exactly, and how did you come up with the idea?
So if you can tell, my accent is Australian. In Australia, we have the lottery system as in a lot of different places around the world. But growing up as a kid, I always had my mum, buying lotto, your mum or your dad or your brother or your sister, always buying lotto week in, week out. And as I got
Yeah.
older and, as I was a DGen and, money was good, my mum was still buying lottery week in, week out. And I saw the psychology around people in general, the retail consumer, when they see big numbers, $100 million lotto, that's big for us here in Australia. In places like America, it's $1 billion lottery. But the fever that people get and they just buy this lottery, but then that's it. That's where it stops. And I knew that it had to be fixed. I knew that we needed to bring a different form of lottery to the consumers in a way that they had an ownership, so to speak, a say in how the lottery is played. So that's how the concept was born. And so in the first phase, which is what we're releasing to market over the next couple of months, as I said, we've got the first products already built. We have 3 primary tiers, and our top tier is our NFT tier. So the way that this is designed is that there is open and closed jackpots. At first, it was just closed, but then we realized that we needed to open it up to more of the market because not everyone will be able to afford a closed jackpot. So the way that a closed jackpot works is once you purchase your NFT, which is an approximate valuation of $250, you will be tied to that jackpot pool, and only you and 11,110 other players can win it. No one else can. The only way that you can be part of that jackpot is if you were to purchase that NFT off the aftermarket sales. So a fully sold out jackpot nets approximately 2.45 million if it's fully sold out on the day. And the people that buy into it are tied to it. Now, we wanted to make sure that we could bring infrastructure that allows people the fairness. So in a traditional lottery, you buy one ticket and that's it. That's the end of your game. You don't have another opportunity. But with our lottery, you're always tied to it. So you can log in every day, submit your guesses, and you are tied to that lottery. But we refined it in such a way that made it more niche to a Web3 ecosystem, in that players are able to actually vote. So after a certain amount of time, if the lottery hasn't won, because as we know with lotteries, let's say the Powerball in America, it's a 1 in 600 million chance or much higher to actually win the lottery. With BMillions, it's maybe a 1 in 3 million chance. But still, if there's only 11,111 people playing, it's going to take a while to go off. But with Web3, we're able to change that statistic. After a certain amount of time, the users, the holders of that NFT, can actually put to a vote to reduce the difficulty. So the users, if 51% say, yes, let's reduce the difficulty, then the next time you go to play, the next day, the difficulty is halved. And that will go on for maybe a couple of weeks, and then it will go to a vote again. And if the community says, yes, we want to reduce the difficulty, that will occur. And it's going to be interesting, I think, to watch. I think there'll be a certain point in time when the community might actually say, hang on, no, we don't want to make this too easy to win. Let's stop voting to make it easier to win, because there's this economic crossroads where when a jackpot becomes easier to win, so those odds are reduced, the value of the NFT actually increases. So people might be looking to not vote to reduce the difficulty because they might be able to sell the NFT on the aftermarket for a higher value. Mm-hmm. So that's the primary closed jackpot. And then there's the open jackpot, which essentially is a $50 NFT. There's no cap. So there can be 10,000 people buying, there can be 20 or 50,000 people buying. The advantage here is that you might be having a much larger jackpot. So if there are 50,000 people that buy in, instead of a $2.4 million average jackpot, you could be playing for a $5 or $10 million jackpot. And the same rules apply in that you can vote the difficulty down. Now that brings us to our second tier, which is our minor jackpots. So we understand that NFTs, we love NFT technology, and we love the fact that we can bring it to market away from the old school PFP, Bored Ape Yacht Club, generic photos, things like that. We can actually bring utility to an ecosystem for the people. But we understand people are going to potentially want to exit their position. And so if someone has been playing their lottery and they need to cash out, or they're just flipping because they see the investment side, they'll do so on their secondary aftermarket sales. And in doing so, there is a royalty that gets paid. So the way this works is a portion of that sale goes to feed the minor jackpot. And that continually happens. And as the jackpot increases to a size of approximately $125,000, a new pot becomes open. So if you're a holder of any active round, open or closed, you're eligible to play for the minor jackpots. And each time that minor jackpot fills up, a new one opens. You can play for them perpetually. So you can keep playing for as many of them that opens. Now,
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, sorry, it's a bit of a mouthful.
No, please go on.
But that brings us to our bottom tier, which is our token layer. So we wanted to introduce a layer that was available to everybody, right? Because $250 is a lot of dollars, $50 is a lot of dollars, and we wanted to make sure that we could bring, lottery to people who don't have access to it, and so that's why we generated the token layer. So on this layer, any user can sign up to the platform and play for the first $20,000 pot for free. And they can log in daily and do so. So every day they can log in, submit their entry, and off they go. Log in, submit your entry, and off you go. Now, the token layer is derived from our token itself. There is a utility in the token which extends beyond the token layer and into the NFTs, which I'll explain in a second. But basically, we are a tax token. Now, we're not something stupid like 10% or 15% tax. We're not even something a little bit silly like 5% tax. It's 1.5% tax. 1% of every single transaction, buy or sell, goes to feeding what we call, and we want to coin the phrase, mini pots. So our minor jackpots, we're going to coin the phrase mini pots. And so this is, again, similar to the minor jackpots, it's perpetual. So every time the mini pot reaches $20,000 in value, a new pot will open. And every time the volume of DEX trading or CEX trading continues, that tax fills another pot and another pot and another pot. And so when you look at the economics of it, by a whole year, there could be 100, 200 mini pots available to play for the community. Now, remembering that the first pot is available to play for free for anyone, whether they're an NFT holder or not. Now, the way we designed the utility plays into the humanistic side of who we are as consumers. We like things to be automated. So we designed it in that if you want to automate your submissions, whether you're an NFT holder or just playing the token layer, by burning the token, so you stake and burn, it's a stake and burn mechanism. You stake tokens to the platform, which is a burn mechanism, which reduces supply. You can then automate your submission. So for example, if you're an NFT holder and you wanted to not log in for a whole year, you could take some of your tokens, stake and burn, select what numbers you want or to randomize it, and you won't have to log in for a whole year and your numbers are playing automatically for you. So that's one of the interesting things that we built into that layer. Let's see, what else? Sorry, there's a lot to go over.
Let me jump in and say that it's very important to highlight that people can participate in the jackpots without actually paying for anything. You have essentially a free jackpot that anyone can join. It's very important to highlight this.
That's right. I think. To highlight that bottom layer. And so what we're doing...
And it's also, it's also very important to highlight that you also have a feature, a utility that allows people to not essentially obsess over it and log in every single day and submit their numbers. It can be automated, which I think nowadays it's a huge thing to have. It can give you lots of time on your hands to do other stuff instead of having. It gives you a peace of mind, essentially.
That's right. That's right. And because it's all on chain, it's verifiable, right? But it goes a step further than that. With this layer, people don't just have access to submitting their entry for this lottery. Actually, have access to participating in membership jackpots as well, or rather community jackpots too. By being a user of the community, you're able to enter into other jackpots. So we have not just our major jackpot and not just our minor or our mini pots. We also have community type jackpots as well, jackpots / prizes. So the way that it's designed is intended for the community to grow, and it's intended for products and services to want to connect with the community. So say, for example, we have a sponsor, and this is a very real example, that wants to give away a car. Say, for example, it's a Tesla. They want to give away a Tesla. They want it to go to a community who's going to be engaging. They'll give us this vehicle to give to our community who are engaging. And so the community doesn't have to do anything beyond that. But I think it's very important that I stress here, while we're talking to a Web3 community and our primary users are Web3, we are designing BMillions to be Web2 native. And so what I mean by that is we are designing the infrastructure so that a Web2 user can find our platform, sign up to our platform, start submitting their entries daily, and they won't even know they're using the blockchain. And so we had to wait, as I said at the start, we had to wait for certain infrastructure to be in place. We had to wait for layer 2s to evolve. We had to wait for the Deacon upgrade to make things cheaper because we're actually sponsoring the transactions. So from a Web3 perspective, if you're an NFT user, yep, you're going to have to, buy your NFT with a token, whether it's Matic or the BMillion token. Later, we'll be introducing other payment methods as well. But you'll have to do that Web3 thing, sign the transaction, the usual stuff we do every day. But once you have your NFT and you're logging in and you're playing your numbers every day, you don't have to sign a transaction anymore. We're actually sponsoring that. So we make it semi-frictionless for the Web3 at the start, in that once they have their NFT, they no longer have to keep signing transactions. They just log in, submit their number, go away. Log in, submit their number, go away. Or log in, stake and burn, and come back when they win. And it's the same for the token layer as well, because we are designing it in such a way to onboard the next million users into Web3 who don't actually know they're in Web3. So the infrastructure we're building allows Web2 users to come and use the platform, not even realize there's obviously going to be an educational process because we want to educate people about Web3. But in the first instance, they won't even realize that they have a wallet and that they are submitting on-chain transactions to play this lottery. So it's a really cool product that we've built, really cool infrastructure.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. Making it as simple as possible for anyone to join and basically increase adoption of the token.
That's right.
So that being said, do you foresee any potential risks that might limit the growth of the BMillions ecosystem?
Yeah, so there's always been this really one really big risk that we've been concerned about, and that's market, right? If there's a market collapse. And so one of the things we wanted to do was go to market, ensuring that we captured a market, because once we do that, we're actually fairly safe. Because even if the market begins to do, stupid wicks and crazy free falls, we actually have lottery funds that are locked up that the community can still play for. So irrespective of what the market is doing, the users can still turn up and know that the jackpot is there to be won. It's locked up, in custody, and insured, and is available for them to win. One of the other things, obviously, is whether or not a chain were to have a hiccup. I'm not against Solana, and Solana's doing really good things right now. But if we had a hiccup, what would that do to the ecosystem? So that's one of the reasons we didn't go with Solana in the first instance, is because Solana has had a history of having hiccups, and we don't want that kind of displacement for our community. So those are the kind of risks that we have a look at. But we've built the infrastructure on Polygon, which has a pretty sound history, but it goes beyond just building it for the history of the chain. It's also the extended access to industry that we get by building on Polygon.
I see. Where do you see BMillions in 6 months from now? What are the next milestones? You talked about the first phase at the start of the AMA. So what's next in store? Can you give us a hint or
6 months?
reveal a secret to us?
6 months would be like 100,000 users would be great, right? In 6 months. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's achievable. So when we talk about daily active users, we often, from our perspective, we use the sandbox and Decentraland cases as examples. So some of you may or may not have, come across the news when it broke last year, I think it was, that billion-dollar companies like Sandbox and Decentraland that have a lot of money in them and a lot of infrastructure, a lot of technology, a lot of beautiful things, but they only had a few hundred, if not, on average, 1,000 daily active users. And what we know about industry, as the industry begins to adopt more blockchain, as we've come into an ETF world now, and more institutional partners want to be involved in Web3 and blockchain, they want to know where our decentralized users are. They don't necessarily need to know their identity, but they want to engage with them for real. They don't want to engage with a bot. They don't want to engage with AI. So one of our milestones is being able to prove that we have the 100,000 daily active users, genuine humans that are using our platform. And that has a benefit for both parties. It has a benefit for the company that wants to promote its product, and it has a benefit for our community that can access that product for free, given the case of the vehicle as an example. So as we continue to grow and prove our daily active users, we begin to be more appealing to the eyes of companies that want to promote their products, to give to us, to give to you.
Okay. I think that pretty much covers up my questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our community before we select questions from the audience?
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. We're currently doing the LBP as we speak. So the token is being, we're doing our raise right now in an LBP environment. That's a liquidity bootstrap pool. So essentially what this does is it finds a fair market value for the token. And then once that is found, we're able to launch that on a decentralized exchange and go to market from there. So that's actually active now on Fjord Foundry. But beyond that, the next 6 to 12 months will be an interesting roadmap for us as we continue to build out our infrastructure, as we continue to onboard the partners we've been talking to for the last 12 months. Now, it's the more like 18 to 24 month goal that we're really excited about. And it's going to take us the time to get it right. But essentially, we're planning on building out the infrastructure so that the lottery system is completely autonomous and we are able to introduce things like dividends, where users are able to use the ecosystem without the need of human oversight.
I see. That's very interesting. Okay, so to kick off phase 2 of the AMA, can you go ahead and select a person from the audience so that I can unmute them and have them ask their question?
Sure. I'll just do a random up-down scroll. I see hands. Okay. Liliana from Golem's Gems.
Let me see. Where are you? Okay. Okay, hello. Liliana, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can
hello.
hear you.
Hello.
Can you go ahead and ask your questions for Mike?
Yes. Okay, my question is, can you elaborate on the mechanism behind the mini jackpots, including how community participation and token trades fuel the pot growth and the protocol for opening new pots?
Yeah, I will do my best, as I don't have my developer here with me. But essentially, every bit of volume on the decentralized exchange, every buy and every sell has a tax, and it's a small tax. And each time there's a buy or a sell, 1% of each of those feeds the smart contract, which generates the mini pot. So when it reaches an approximate size of around $20,000 in value, it generates a new pot. And it will do that continuously forever. Now, sometimes there is the ability to do this manually because we want to be able to increase these pots from time to time to give the community the ability to play for a larger amount at the token layer. But essentially, the way that it's designed is it's perpetual, so it goes on forever. So the the volume on any decentralized exchange or any centralized exchange that we are listed on will continue to feed those pots forever. So from day 1, there'll be 1 pot. Day 50, there may be 10 pots. Day 365, there could be 100 pots that you can be playing for. Did that answer your question?
I think it does, and you've also shared the details on the jackpots and the different levels beforehand as well. So can you go ahead and select the second person? That's their question.
Okay. Oops. Sorry, I've clicked into a profile. Okay, random selection. Gorilla.
Gorilla. Okay, give me one moment to find him. Gorilla. Okay, there you are. Hello, Gorilla. Can you hear us? Hello.
I think he's Gorilla.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So my question is, how does the decentralized lottery platform ensure the security of jackpot prizes, especially with its NFT-gated perpetual token and DAO-based futures? You got it?
I think you cut off before you finish your question.
Yeah, can you please repeat, Gorilla?
So my question is, how does the decentralized lottery platform ensure the security of jackpot prizes, especially with its NFT-gated perpetual tokens and DAO-based futures? You got
So
it?
we don't have futures. The jackpots are actually held by a third-party custodian. So we do not want to custody those at any time, anytime soon, until such time as there are a provider that can go through all of our infrastructure and insure us. So the insurance part of crypto, of blockchain, is still an evolving scene. So this is why we are using a third-party custodian to hold the jackpots, and those jackpots are insured, which means that if there is a breach, the custodian has to repay those funds. So that's how we insure the jackpots, because we are talking about a lot of dollars. In the future, we do hope to custody those ourselves, but we have to wait until there is a provider who will insure it on behalf of the infrastructure that we've built. So it's a very young environment, the insurance industry, and I think the majority of custodians are all insured by the one firm, which I think is Lloyd's of London. I'll have to double check that, but most of the custodians are insured by the same person. They're the only ones willing to take on the risk.
I think that pretty much covers everything that Gorilla asked. So I think we can wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time today, Mike. It was a pleasure hearing about the project as well. It sounds very interesting. And before we close, let me say that you can share any info that you want about the project, such as links or anything else in the Telegram group. So feel free to do that as well.
Yep.
And for the lucky winners, please reach out to Mike to discuss your reward.
Yes, great. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate your time here today.
Thank you so much, Mike. Have a great day ahead.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.